What if the one thing sitting in your kitchen cabinet right now is actually one of the most powerful fat-burning, hormone-balancing, brain-healing substances on the planet? And what if the reason it has never worked for you is not because it does not work, but because nobody ever told you how to use it correctly? I am talking about olive oil. Before you think you already know everything about olive oil, stay with me, because what I am about to share will completely change how you see it. Most people drizzle olive oil on salads or splash it into a pan and think that is enough. But that way, they are getting maybe 5% of what this oil can actually do inside their body. Here is what really gets me, though. The people struggling the most with stubborn belly fat, exhaustion, and brain fog have olive oil sitting in their pantry right now. They have no idea what it could do if they used it the right way. Today, I am going to change that for you completely. I will walk you through the exact science of why olive oil is one of the most underrated metabolic tools on Earth. I will show you the shocking mistakes destroying its benefits for most people. Then, I will give you a simple one-day protocol you can start tomorrow morning. This protocol targets belly fat, crushes cortisol, clears brain fog, and flips your body into a fat-burning state faster than you ever imagined possible. So stay with me, because this is genuinely worth your full attention today. Let me start with something that does not get talked about nearly enough in the health world. If you are over 35, maybe over 40, and you have been eating less, moving more, and cutting junk food, but your belly fat still will not budge, there is a real reason for that. It is not laziness. It is not weak willpower. It is absolutely not a calorie problem at all. The real problem silently working against you every single day is a combination of 3 biological forces destroying your metabolism from the inside. Those 3 forces are chronically elevated cortisol, insulin resistance, and cellular inflammation. Together inside your body, they completely shut down your ability to burn fat, produce energy, think clearly, and sleep deeply at night. Here is what is wild, though. High-quality extra virgin olive oil, the right kind used the right way, directly targets all 3 of those problems at the exact same time. Not 1, not 2, all 3 simultaneously, starting from the very first day. Let me break this down for you, because the science here is genuinely remarkable, and most people have never heard any of it. Your body is not just a machine. It is a system constantly receiving signals from everything you eat and drink each day. Extra virgin olive oil sends one of the most powerful fat-burning signals of anything you can possibly consume. Human studies have shown it activates something called PAR-alpha, a gene that directly increases your body's ability to burn fat as fuel. When this gene gets switched on, it also increases ketone production, improves how your mitochondria produce energy, and lowers triglycerides in your blood. This is not a theory or a wellness trend someone made up online. This is documented in human research, and it explains something that has puzzled people for decades. Mediterranean populations eat diets extremely high in fat, specifically olive oil fat, yet they stay lean, sharp, and healthy well into old age. They are not lean despite the fat. They are lean because of it. Now let us talk about insulin, because if there is one hormone most responsible for stubborn belly fat, insulin is it. When insulin stays chronically elevated, your body simply cannot access its fat stores. It is like trying to withdraw money from an ATM that is permanently locked shut. High insulin means your body is in storage mode, not burning mode, no matter how little you eat. Most people think avoiding carbohydrates is the only way to lower insulin. And while that helps, there is something else that works remarkably well. A landmark 2015 study published in Diabetes Care found that extra virgin olive oil consumed with a meal significantly reduces both post-meal blood glucose and insulin levels. The mechanism is that olive oil improves GLP-1 secretion, the same hormone pathway that expensive weight loss medications target. It also slows how quickly food moves through your stomach, creating a gentler, more gradual glucose response after eating. Think about what that actually means for you. You are getting a measurable, documented insulin lowering effect from just 1 tablespoon of olive oil with no prescription, no side effects, and no injections at all. The result is fewer glucose spikes throughout your day, less insulin in your bloodstream, less fat being stored, less hunger later on, and your body shifting into a fat-burning state significantly faster than before. Now let me talk about cortisol, because I believe this is one of the most massively underappreciated topics for anyone over 40 who is still struggling with belly fat. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone, and it is not inherently bad in short bursts. When you are in actual danger, cortisol gives you energy and sharpens your focus. But most people today are not experiencing short bursts of cortisol. They are experiencing a slow, steady, relentless drip of it day after day without relief. Chronically high cortisol does something very specific and honestly very cruel to your body. It directly targets your belly fat with precision. Your visceral fat, the fat sitting deep in your abdomen wrapping around your organs, has twice the cortisol receptor sites compared to fat anywhere else on your body. When cortisol stays elevated, it acts like a homing signal driving fat accumulation straight to your midsection. This is not a myth or a fitness industry exaggeration. The cortisol belly is a real, documented, and measurable biological phenomenon affecting millions of people, and it gets significantly worse from there. That visceral fat is not just sitting there harmlessly making your waistline bigger. It is the most inflammatory fat in your entire body. It physically presses against your kidneys, liver, pancreas, and heart while constantly disrupting your hormonal signaling. It also destroys your sleep quality, which is exactly why so many people with belly fat issues also wake up in the middle of the night feeling completely wired and exhausted at the same time. It is a brutal cycle that keeps feeding itself every single night. So what does olive oil actually have to do with all of this? The oleic acid and specific polyphenols found in high-quality extra virgin olive oil have been shown to directly blunt cortisol output by improving HPA axis regulation in your body. Your HPA axis is the communication highway between your brain and your adrenal glands. When chronic stress, poor sleep, and poor diet disrupt this system, your cortisol simply stays elevated around the clock without coming down properly. High-quality olive oil helps restore and regulate this communication pathway between your brain and adrenals. It also lowers inflammation at the cellular level and increases your vagal tone, which is the strength of your parasympathetic nervous system, your body's rest, digest, detox, and repair mode. One published study showed that high polyphenol olive oil measurably lowered cortisol markers within just a few hours of consumption. Hours, not weeks, not months. Within hours of drinking it, your cortisol response begins to shift. Now I need to clear up something important, because the word inflammation gets thrown around constantly, and it can get confusing fast. There is a kind of inflammation that is actually useful and necessary. Your body's acute response to injury or infection. A sprained ankle swells up. A cut gets red and warm. That is your immune system doing exactly what it should. That kind of inflammation is healthy, temporary, and completely normal for your body to produce. But there is a completely different kind called chronic low-grade cellular inflammation, and this one is silently destroying the health of millions of people right now. This inflammation does not hurt. You cannot feel it directly at all, but it is constantly working in the background, blocking your fat-burning hormones, disrupting your energy pathways, and creating the exact conditions for weight gain, brain fog, fatigue, and eventually serious disease over time. Extra virgin olive oil shuts this down at the cellular level in a way that almost nothing else available to you can match. A specific polyphenol in high-quality olive oil called oleocanthal works through the same biochemical pathway as ibuprofen, inhibiting the inflammatory COX enzymes causing damage inside your cells. The critical difference is that ibuprofen has to be metabolized by your liver and causes serious side effects with regular use over time. Oleocanthal does not burden your liver at all, has no known side effects, and begins reducing inflammation almost immediately after you consume it. When that inflammation drops, something remarkable happens. Your insulin receptor sites, which were being blocked by inflammatory signals, begin opening up again. They can finally hear the message insulin is sending them. And your fat-burning hormones can actually do their job properly. Now, here is something I find genuinely extraordinary, and I do not think most people have ever heard this before. The oleocanthal in high-quality extra virgin olive oil has been shown to activate autophagy specifically within your brain cells, your actual neurons. If you are not familiar with autophagy, let me explain it simply. Every cell in your body has a lifespan. Over time, cellular components, including the mitochondria, the tiny energy-producing structures inside each cell, become damaged, inefficient, and inflamed from constant use. If these old damaged components are never cleaned out and replaced, your cells stop working properly. They stop producing energy efficiently. They stop responding to hormones the way they should. They start contributing directly to brain fog, fatigue, weight gain, and eventually disease. Autophagy is your body's cellular cleanup and recycling process. Think of it like a deep cleaning crew going through every room in your house, throwing out broken things, fixing what can be saved, and making everything run better than before. The fact that olive oil polyphenols activate this process specifically inside your brain cells is extraordinary. It means with the right olive oil used correctly, you are not just burning fat from your body. You are literally regenerating and cleaning your brain from the inside out at a cellular level. The improvements in mental clarity, focus, and energy that people report when starting high-quality olive oil consistently are not placebo effects. There is a documented, measurable biological mechanism behind every single bit of it. Now, I have to tell you something uncomfortable that you absolutely need to know before spending another dollar on olive oil at any store. Most of the olive oil being sold today is not what the label claims it to be. Research and investigative testing has consistently found that up to 70% of olive oil on store shelves is oxidized, adulterated, mislabeled, or outright fraudulent. Some bottles labeled extra virgin olive oil have been diluted with cheap inflammatory seed oils like canola or sunflower. Others were made from low-quality overprocessed olives and simply stamped with a premium label. Others were legitimate at one point, but were stored improperly or too long, causing the fats to degrade into compounds that are actually harmful and inflammatory inside your body. When you consume oxidized or adulterated olive oil, you are not getting any of the benefits I just described. You are getting the complete opposite. You are increasing inflammation, stressing your liver, disrupting your hormones, and potentially contributing to the very weight gain you are trying to stop. This is not a minor issue. This is a major reason why so many people say they eat healthy and still cannot lose weight. The quality of your ingredients matters just as much as the ingredients themselves, maybe even more. So here is how you know right now if what you have is real. Go to your pantry, pour a tablespoon of your olive oil into a small glass, and drink it straight. You should feel a peppery, almost spicy sensation in the back of your throat almost immediately. You might feel a slight burn as it goes down. You might even cough a little. Your tongue might feel slightly fuzzy afterward. That burning, peppery sensation is oleocanthal, the anti-inflammatory polyphenol that makes high-quality olive oil so metabolically powerful for your body. The more it burns when you taste it, the higher the polyphenol content and the better the oil actually is. If your olive oil goes down completely smooth, tastes buttery and mild, and causes zero throat sensation at all, that is a major red flag you need to take seriously. That oil has little to no polyphenols remaining inside it. You are getting almost zero metabolic benefit from it, regardless of how expensive the bottle looked on the shelf when you bought it. Let me now walk you through the 4 biggest mistakes people make with olive oil, because understanding these is what separates life-changing results from getting absolutely nothing out of it. The first mistake is using low-quality or fake olive oil. As I just explained, this is shockingly common, and it is the most foundational mistake of all. If your oil is adulterated, oxidized, or stripped of its polyphenols through poor processing or bad storage, you lose every benefit we have discussed today. Always do the taste test. Always look for cold-pressed, early harvest, single-source, high polyphenol olive oil that comes in a dark glass bottle. Light and plastic both degrade polyphenol content rapidly, which is why packaging genuinely matters here. The second mistake is believing you cannot cook with olive oil at all. This is based on a widespread misunderstanding of the actual science behind cooking oils. Yes, olive oil has a moderate smoke point, but smoke point is only one part of the complete picture. A rigorous study out of New Zealand tested 10 popular cooking oils across 2 trials, one heating them gradually to 464 degrees Fahrenheit, and the other deep frying at 356 degrees Fahrenheit for 6 full hours. Extra virgin olive oil produced the lowest amount of harmful polar compounds of any oil tested, even after extended high heat exposure. Why? Because its polyphenols act as protective antioxidants, shielding the oil from degrading even under heat. Grapeseed oil, canola oil, and sunflower oil, the ones most often marketed as healthy for cooking, actually performed the absolute worst in both trials. The third mistake is taking olive oil at completely the wrong time. This is something almost nobody talks about, and it matters far more than people realize. Cortisol peaks between 6 and 8 in the morning naturally. Insulin sensitivity fluctuates throughout your day. Blood sugar management before a meal is a completely different opportunity than managing it after a meal. Taking olive oil randomly with no intention behind the timing means you are leaving most of its metabolic benefit unrealized every single day. The fourth mistake is pairing olive oil with the wrong foods entirely. Polyphenols are most bioavailable when consumed in the right food environment. Certain foods powerfully enhance polyphenol absorption. Others block it completely. Mixing olive oil with processed foods or refined carbohydrates significantly reduces how much actually reaches your cells where it matters. Now let me give you the complete protocol, because this is what you have been waiting for, and I want to make it as clear and simple as possible for you to start immediately. First thing in the morning, while still fasted, take 1 to 2 tablespoons of high-quality extra virgin olive oil and mix it with 1 to 2 teaspoons of fresh lemon juice or raw apple cider vinegar. Drink it as a shot before eating anything else at all. Within 20 minutes, this blunts your morning cortisol surge before it builds. It stimulates your liver to produce bile, which is critical for fat digestion and detoxification. It improves your insulin sensitivity from the very start of your day before anything else enters your system. This does not break your fast. There are no carbohydrates or protein to trigger any insulin response. Your body stays in a fasted fat burning state while getting the precise tools it needs to do that job far more effectively than it could alone. At your midday meal, add 2 tablespoons of high-quality extra virgin olive oil to your food. Pair it with arugula, purple cabbage, broccoli, salmon, eggs, or avocado, along with herbs like rosemary and oregano for maximum polyphenol synergy. These combinations do not just add up in benefit, they multiply each other. The polyphenols from vegetables and herbs enhance the absorption and effectiveness of the olive oil polyphenols, creating a powerful fat-burning environment inside your gut and bloodstream simultaneously. About 15 minutes before your largest meal of the day, take 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil straight. Research shows this single habit can reduce post-meal glucose spikes by up to 35% and reduce the insulin spike by 20 to 30%. It also significantly increases satiety signals, meaning you feel fuller faster and stay that way much longer into the evening. If you struggle with overeating at dinner, nighttime cravings, or blood sugar crashes after eating, this one habit alone can be genuinely transformative for you. If you struggle with falling asleep, staying asleep, or waking up feeling wired and restless at 2 or 3 in the morning, try a small dose of olive oil before bed. Just a teaspoon to a tablespoon increases tryptophan transport across the blood-brain barrier, boosting serotonin and then melatonin production naturally. The result is better ability to fall asleep, deeper sleep stages throughout the night, and suppressed nighttime cortisol that otherwise keeps you trapped in that miserable, half-awake, half-exhausted state. If you wake in the middle of the night, take a small shot right then and your cortisol buffers quickly. Within the first day of following this protocol, most people notice a meaningful reduction in bloating. Digestion starts working more efficiently. Energy feels more stable with fewer afternoon crashes. Cravings quiet down noticeably, and that baseline feeling of stress begins softening. Within the first week, the changes become more visible and more pronounced. People report a visibly smaller waistline, improved skin clarity, sharper mental focus, and noticeably better digestion throughout the day. Fat loss begins accelerating in a way that feels completely different from caloric restriction. Within a month of consistent use, the cumulative effects of lower cortisol, reduced insulin, diminished inflammation, and activated cellular autophagy begin compounding powerfully together. People describe feeling like a completely different person, more energetic, clearer in their thinking, sleeping deeply, and finally watching that belly fat disappear. If you are over 40 and you have tried diet after diet with nothing sticking, I want you to hear this clearly. It is not your fault. The conventional advice to eat less and move more completely ignores the hormonal and inflammatory drivers making fat loss nearly impossible for so many people. Olive oil, the right olive oil, used the right way at the right times, is one of the most powerful levers available to you. It is simple, safe, accessible, scientifically supported, and you can start using it effectively beginning tomorrow morning with what you already know right now. Do the taste test tonight. Start your morning shot tomorrow. Give your body one honest week of this protocol and pay close attention to every change you notice happening inside and outside your body each day. Because once you feel the difference between living with chronically elevated cortisol, blocked insulin, and constant cellular inflammation, and living without those things, you will never go back to the old way of doing things again. Your body has been waiting for exactly this. Give it what it genuinely needs.